Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede on the air and on the web at cbsmiami.com.
We're back with Adam Hasner, Republican candidate for Congress in District 22, running against Lois Franco, the Democrat. And we've been talking Medicare. I want to stay with this because do you agree with me that you think that this is going to come down with Ryan's pick? Medicare is going to be a central key issue in this race.
Well, Medicare is a large part of our federal budget. And when you look at 62% of our budget, it's Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And with trillion-dollar deficits for as far as the eye can see, with a nearly $16 trillion debt, how we get health care costs under control is a major part of getting America's fiscal house in order.
But I want to go back to the point we were talking about right at the break, which was the $700 billion that comes out through savings, the president says, CBO says. Out of this, it comes back into Medicare. Ryan's budget, the Ryan budget proposal, also takes that money out of Medicare, but doesn't put it back into it for seniors. It pays for other things such as, tax increases or tax cuts for the wealthy.
That's a very, I think, broad interpretation. And why it's so important is to understand is that $700 billion we're talking about is getting healthcare cost under control. And there's two different ways to do it. We talk about the fact that the president's plan takes the $700 billion and it puts a panel unelected bureaucrats in place of those decisions, whereas I think the bipartisan Wyden-Ryan plan keeps the money in Medicare, but what it actually does is the costs are lower because healthcare inflation goes up less because of the competition and the choice. So it keeps security for seniors today. Remember, it doesn't apply to anyone who's 55 or over, and it protects people who are younger so that they have access to that type of care in the future.
So I guess the question becomes, whose panel of bureaucrats do you want to put your health in front of? The government or the insurance companies? Because the insurance company has bureaucrats deciding what they'll cover and what they won't as well.
Well, I think what we've seen, though, is that healthcare costs are skyrocketing. And competition, I think, has proven to be the best way to get these under control. And part of the plan is guaranteed access. This wouldn't jeopardize anyone's ability to do it. And the whole misnomer of costs being increased on people is incorrect also because, as we discussed, the fact that the premium support payment would be more for people who are infirm, and it would be less for people who are affluent. And so it would give people that opportunity, just like members of Congress. Actually, they use a very similar system to be able to purchase their health insurance. And I hear all the time from people, they want members of Congress to live by the same set of rules as everybody else. And I think it's a good way to keep costs down and get health care delivered affordably.
Let's talk Medicaid. You support also Ryan's budget plan as it relates to Medicaid, moving it from the federal government dollars down to the state level.
I do support it for two reasons. One is Medicaid is broken. We're putting more and more people under the president's plan into Medicaid, and it's not delivering access because why? Physicians aren't taking Medicaid patients, and it's the same thing that's going to happen with Medicare. If you follow the path that we're currently on, paying doctors and hospitals less money, there will be less that will actually want to see those patients and provide services to those patients, and it's becoming a bigger chunk of the state budgets every single year, and it's going to force budgets to make decisions to reduce spending in education and public safety and transportation, and it's not the best way to deliver affordable health care to those people who are in need of it.
The Kaiser Family Foundation has found that 14 to 27 million people Americans currently under Medicaid, will lose their Medicaid benefits under the Ryan plan. What happens to those people when they get sick?
Well, first and foremost is that no one's ever denied access to care in our country.
They show up in an emergency room and then we pay for it as taxpayers.
But expanding the base of who's eligible to 133% at the rate that we're growing right now, we're talking about massive deficits that are unsustainable. I think everything Washington does right now needs to be viewed through the very simple lens of what's going to create jobs, what's going to get our fiscal house in order, what's going to get our economy going again. Continuing to spend money we don't have and borrow money we don't have to pay for these programs is going to send us off the fiscal cliff. And I think that's really what this debate's all about, is getting our fiscal house in order and having the right policies, tax reform, regulatory reform, in order to create jobs.
Do you consider yourself a Tea Party conservative?
Well, listen, I think the reality is that the name calling and all of the finger pointing out there is what everyone on both sides are sick of. I think we need to talk about about what the issues are. And what I believe is making sure that we get our budget balanced, make sure we get spending under control, make sure we have the right tax policies to be able to grow the economy, make it flatter and simpler, and have common sense regulatory environment so that we're not overburdening small businesses and job creators.
Here's a quote from you from the Daily Caller, September 2011, talking about Marco Rubio. He called me the most partisan Republican in Tallahassee. He meant it as a compliment. I made it a badge of honor.
Well, being partisan isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means that you believe something. It means you stand up for something. But I have a long track record, Jim, of proving that I can work across the aisle and get things done. I did it in the state legislature. Florida's first in the nation law to divest our pension funds from companies that do business in Iran. I sponsored legislation that helped fund cancer research, innovative cancer research, and I was named American Cancer Society legislator 2 years in a row. I sponsored legislation to protect our coastal waters and our reefs from ocean outfall. So I've been able to accomplish energy initiatives like the Ocean Energy Project and PACE energy financing. So I've sponsored initiatives where I've been able to work across the aisle and get things done. But I think the reality is, and I think we remember it from the days of Reagan and Tip O'Neill, those were two very partisan individuals, but they were able to put their plans on the table and make decisions that kept our country moving in the right direction.
But again, your reputation in Tallahassee was as the most partisan member of the legislature.
But I think it goes back to the whole issue of name calling, and I hope this is a debate not about name calling. I hope it's a debate about the real policy beliefs and the real policy differences that I have with my opponent.
You oppose abortion in all cases, including rape and incest?
No, I have a record of supporting with those exceptions.
Stem cell research?
Well, I think that stem cell research has become an issue where it's become more about cutthroat politics rather than cutting-edge science. And there are solutions out there today which allow us to have innovative embryonic stem cell research without needing to have the destruction of embryos.
Defunding Planned Parenthood?
Well, I would tell you that with $1 trillion+ deficit, we've got to look for places to reduce spending in all instances. And I think Planned Parenthood's one of those places where it's going to have those types of spending reductions.
Adam Hasner, I appreciate you coming in. Hopefully, if we can get Lois Franco to come in, will you come in to debate?
I look forward to being back.
Excellent. When we come back, former Congressman Ron Klein.